Hello everyone, it's Manga Sand here. Today I want to talk about a brutal series, an awesome series, one of my favorite sports manga. I would call it a sports manga even though it's a fighter sport, but this is a manga about sumo, and the title is HINOMARU ZUMOU, I think. And so I don't know how I pronounce it, but anyways, awesome manga. I love it to death. I just caught up to it again recently, and I think I might review it every week because I love this manga. I love it to death, and part of it I like it because there's so many interesting characters. Like we have Isho, we have Izaki, we have Yuma, we have Shichiro and Ki, and all these characters are well developed. There's 5 characters because there needs to be 5 on a sumo team, and basically it starts off with this main character. It goes into kind of like his backstory about how he couldn't, when he was in elementary, he couldn't do sumo because his body just wasn't growing. He had reached his limit, and everyone was like, you can't do sumo. He was the best in elementary. No one was like better than him. No one could surpass him. And then what happened is when middle school hit, he started realizing that his body wasn't growing, and even opponents that were weak, or that he would have thought were weak before, started just exponentially surpassing him. And so what he does is he kind of skips middle school, and he trains for 3 whole years. And he comes back, and his body's just ripped as hell, and it's just like so epic when you see him take off his shirt for the first time. That's the first like epic scene. You see him take off his shirt, and it's just like buff as all hell. And of course, since it's a sumo, you have these incredibly muscular characters, which is really epic and really amazing. You see these like 2 titans that clash and fight, and then sometimes there's like mixed martial arts within the sumo techniques. Like there's one, Yuma, one of the characters I was talking about, he's kind of a karate person. He's a delinquent, so he hasn't really been keeping up with that, but he's got a passion for sumo, so then he goes to his karate teacher and is like, hey, I was an idiot, please train me. And that's what's been happening. And so like, there's like sumo strikes, so that's kind of like his specialty. And then we have Oziku. Izuku's so adorable, and he's so cute, and he was basically the person at their high school that was, the team used to not be 5, it used to be only 1. It was only him. He held out, trying to keep up this team alive for just one person. The delinquents took over his dojo, so he was outside every single day, practicing in sumo. And that just reminds me of what a recent match that happened with Oziki, where he was facing an opponent that saw Oziki in that scenario where he was outside, and the person who saw him thought he was the best, that he loved sumo the greatest. And he was like, I love sumo the greatest. And then he saw that guy every single day practicing outside, being shamed at his school. But no matter what, he just kept to his sumo. He just loved it so much. And he doubted that Uzuki's opponent then it started to doubt that he actually loved sumo as much as he thought he would. And just seeing some of these characters that are so imperfect on the team, are so imperfect, but they developed and they just worked their asses off, and they just surpassed their limitations. And the main character especially, like I said, he's a little guy, and he's trying to be bigger than these huge, ginormous monster sumo wrestlers. And then you have the team captain, which is Oziki, which was the single guy I was talking about, who tried to recruit the team when he was only the one person. He's actually you think he's fat at the beginning, but it's actually all muscle. Like once the artist starts drawing his fights, you see like he's ripped. Like he looks fat, he looks big, but it's like all muscle. And yeah, just epic. So the one really person that's talented in their team would be Shichiro, I think. I can't really pronounce these Japanese that well. But basically he was the wrestler champion at their school, so he's the only one who's actually like gifted and who has a fighting, probably the second best wrestler. But though now in the manga it's kind of got to the point where probably Iziki, the team captain, is probably the second best, and of course the main character is the best. He just comes in after that 3 years of training and is just like, he's up on the national levels of high school level, and his competition are always the best of the best. He's competing with always the individuals that want to become the best in Japan. But awesome series. It's brutal. The fights are intense. I didn't like sumo before. I thought it was crap, and it kind of talks about that too, how sumo is like a looked down upon sport. No one really talks about it anymore. It's looked down upon. It's not exciting. But this manga makes it exciting, and I love it. I love it to death. It's one of my favorite manga, my favorite sport manga right now. I would say my Spirit Fort series in general, and I would love it to get an anime. It's so good. So if anyone is HINOMARU ZUMOU fan, please leave some comments and discussions below. I love it to death. I will probably do weekly reviews of it, even though it's not popular. I don't do this for views. I just talk about what I want to talk about. So yeah, that's just what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what I was reading, and that I just love this series, and I just caught up to it recently, and I think I want to do weekly reviews. So maybe I'll cut something else, because I work full time and I can't do all these reviews at once, and I want to do different discussions, and I want to do all these things. So we'll see how it goes. So thank you everyone for watching. Have a wonderful day, and see you out.